Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel. It's me again, and we're here to chit chat about an update, but boy is it an update video. I got some stories. So today I am 31 weeks pregnant, which is very exciting. I say that every week. It's very exciting because it is. Every week that I have rolled over, literally since I found out that I was pregnant, I was very excited about rolling over a new week. It's always thrilling. It's always exciting. It takes on different feelings and emotions, though, I think, the farther you get into your pregnancy. So, for instance, I don't know if anybody else has, like, if you're pregnant right now, I don't know if anybody else has these apps, but there are, like, all these different, like, pregnancy apps, baby apps, whatever that you can get. I have What to Expect, I have Baby Center, and then I have another one that's like Pregnancy Plus or something. Anyway, that one, when you go into that, you can actually see like this almost like 3D image of a baby that would be at that stage of development, right? The stage of gestation. So every week I've been looking at this baby growing, and I like always thumb through the next few weeks. And there for a while, it just seemed like she's looked like a baby for a long time, but it just felt like the actual baby phase. Well, now we're there. And it's so exciting. Again, right now being 31 weeks, I had my daughter naturally at 36 weeks. She came on her own. And that being said, if that's the case this time, and I'm not necessarily thinking that it's going to be, but if it were to be the case, I would only have 5 weeks left. Crazy. So let's get right into it because I think this one could be a long video. And I don't know yet whether this will be one video or whether this will be part 1 of 2. I'm really not sure yet. We'll see how this goes. I think this one could get kind of long-winded, but we will see. So firstly, I guess let's do a bump date. I haven't done an actual picture in since week 28, and I really need to do one this week. She's getting bigger. I can really feel her getting bigger. That is a tie on my shirt, by the way. But yeah, I can feel her growing, getting heavier. I can feel all of that. I always start these update videos with the symptoms. Now, what's hard about that is that would lead me into some stories from the week. Therefore, I'm going to start with the baby stuff this time. So, yes, I can feel her moving, rolling. Again, the kicks themselves, that's not her like signature move. And when she does kick, it's not like real predominant kicks. And whenever I say that in just about every video. But my daughter kicked so hard. And this one, her little kicks are polite. They're way more polite. And she's more inclined to roll or like flip and do like flip movements. And maybe even like hiccups and things like that. So that's really more her move or whatever. But I'm feeling her a lot more. And she's larger to the point that I am better able to determine where like maybe her head and her butt is. I remember with my daughter, I felt like I could determine that for quite some time. And like with this one, I'm like, she's big. I've got this big old belly, but like, where's her head and where's her butt, you know? I kind of think we have a diagonal thing going on. I could be wrong. And she has moved several times, but I'm thinking head is like down here somewhere and butt is like up here somewhere. That's kind of what I'm thinking, or some variation of that kind of diagonal thing going on. I do still think that we're more butt up, head down, but I don't know that we're like head down. I'm really not sure. She is, like I said, she's pretty active. She's making her presence more known. There's still not like major, I don't want to say there's no rhyme or reason to her movements. But what I think is people expect, oh, if I talk to her, she'll move or kick. And usually if you talk to her or if there's a lot of stuff going on, she's not moving that much. She's more inclined to move whenever things are calmer and more, you know, just things like that. She's just more inclined to move then. So, you know, I don't know. I think that's really mostly it as far as the baby update. Now let's get into my symptoms. So I noticed a big downshift like in my appetite sort of, or it's weird. I cannot eat very much at a time again. And really nothing sounds good to me. Nothing sounds good to me again. I'm back on that. And really, I can't eat much at one time. And what I crave, like what I decide that I want is usually something more like snacky. So, you know, I probably need to get things like apples and have like peanut butter with it or something, or, you know, and I really haven't done that because I wasn't snacking at all because I was eating my meals and I was full and I was just like, whatever. Where like now I just want to snack all day. I'm like back to that, to where I don't really want meals. Breakfast doesn't sound good to me, but I know that I do better eating breakfast, you know. Lunch, like I never want anything significant. Going out to eat does not sound fun to me because I don't want to go eat a meal. So that's something that I've noticed. I've been taking my iron supplements since I was asked about TMI symptoms at one point. I have been taking my iron supplements again. I don't know if it's strong enough, if the strength is enough or not. I have been taking my iron supplements, and it is not affecting me quite the way that I thought it was going to affect me. If you know, you know. So there's that. I have decided to kind of amp up the progesterone again, where I had dropped it down to maybe like once a week. I'm maybe doing like a couple times a week now, even though it definitely makes me feel rough the next day, really the next 2 days after I do it. And I was going to wait until my 32nd week. Within week 30, I decided to maybe start amping that up a little bit, just a little bit, and then I'll go back to probably like every other day at 32 weeks. Let's see, what other symptoms do I have? I still have heartburn, but I do think, and maybe it's the change in diet, maybe it's not eating meals and stuff so much, but I do think it's easing slightly. It's definitely still there. It's definitely still predominant, but I think maybe it's a little better. And then when I wake up, I'm swollen. So I actually haven't worn my rings in several days just because I thought it was weird. I woke up and my hands were swollen, but then I started noticing I was wearing my silicone wedding band, and I was noticing that like during the day that wasn't so much the case. So I thought, well, maybe I can wear my rings a little bit longer in this pregnancy, because I think by now I really had given up all my rings, all my jewelry or whatever by this time when I was pregnant with my daughter, but I had significantly more swelling. But I'm having swelling in the morning. Frequent urination, we're doing that. I was trying to think, I think there was something else that I was going to talk about, and it's skipping my mind. I mean, blood pressure's still looking good. I mean, everything's still looking pretty good, and I am like so grateful for that. Like, oh my gosh. But here's what happened. Last week, after I did my pregnancy update video, which I think I did that over the course of Monday and Tuesday. I'm pretty sure I did. Okay. Oh, update, our AC is fixed. So there's that. That's good news. But Tuesday, which is when I would have finished that update video, and I did talk about some pressure and pinching and stuff in my lower belly. I did talk about that in that video. Here's the thing. Yes. So the baby is putting on weight rapidly. And I mean, that happens in the third trimester. Like, they're just going to put on weight rapidly. And you can feel it, or at least for me, I am feeling in my body that she is putting on weight. I can feel things getting heavier down below. You know, I could feel all that. Last Tuesday, I started getting this pain in my hip. I noticed it. Okay, so whenever I was doing the update video, I was like, oh, okay. And then, you know, I have this, you know, there's pressure and there's pinching and, you know, stuff, blah, blah, blah. I mentioned it. And I think I was already experiencing it to a degree at that point. I did that video in the morning, and then I know I had a work meeting. I was just trying to, I was sharing my screen and showing someone how to do something. Anyway, I'm leaned up like this, right? I'm leaned up and I'm working on the computer and everything. And this leaning up business, she does not like that. And that's nothing new. She does not like the leaning up. She gets very active, and it's in a way that is like, hey, knock it off. Like, she's not happy with my position. So I recall that and everything. And that was around, you know, lunchtime, whatever, like noonish is whenever I did that. So, but as time went on, even up until like whenever I was on that call, I was noticing that this pain that I was having was getting more and more intense. And I could tell more where it almost seemed like the major point of it was. Let me kind of show you if I can. Oh, let me tilt you down. So here's where my belly stops, okay? Here's my hip. It was like right here. See that? It's like a little below my belly. It's like, here's my hip bone. Come over, and it's just like right there, okay? That is where like the hub of it was at. But occasionally, not consistently, occasionally it would radiate up and around and up my back. It would kind of radiate down my leg, and it would radiate in and up, you know, around my belly. And it was a very strange pain. It wasn't like a contraction. It wasn't, I didn't feel like it was like sciatica, because I thought sciatica, and in any capacity of any experience I've had with it, starts in your butt kind of, and it shoots down, you know? And I'm like, okay, but, and like, this is in the front. I'm like, I don't think this is sciatica. Like, what is this? Anyway, I called my nurse and I talked to her, and I have a great deal of faith in her knowledge and experience. So I talked to her about it, and I just told her, I said, you know, it's not going away. It's feeling worse, you know, and I'm just concerned about it because it's in such a weird place, and I don't know if something's going on or, you know, what the deal is. So she said, well, okay, it could be Braxton Hicks. And I'm like, but it's not like in my belly. I mean, it kind of comes up to, you know, it does that. But it's not all over my belly. It's not centrally anywhere on my belly. It's just on the left side. But she said it could be Braxton Hicks. She said it could be the round ligament. And she said, especially when you say that occasionally it wraps up around your back, she said that leaves me to believe that it could be more to be like the round ligament. So, okay. Well, I got off the phone with her. Basically, oh, and she said, too, also it could be like a bowel thing. So, you know, you're on these iron supplements. I'm like, yes, but as someone who doesn't go very often, I assumed that that would make that slow down even more. And if anything, it's gone the opposite direction, and I'm just like really confused. And I don't like to share this kind of TMI information on here, but I just, if anyone has any ideas, I would love to know what anyone would have to say about this. But she said potentially maybe the baby is pushing the bowel downward, down to that area. I'm like, in my hip, my bowels are in my hip though, like down, I don't know. But I was like, okay, I mean, we're just on the phone talking. And she said, if you would like me to try to get you in sooner, you know, because this was a Tuesday. My doctor's appointment is tomorrow, which is the following Tuesday. Okay, that's like a whole week span. And I said, well, if everything is normal, I said, as long as me and the baby are okay, there's no need to move the doctor's appointment up. I can deal with this till next week. I just, you know, it's just weird and kind of alarming. And if there's anything that I'm missing in treating this, I want to know what it is. So she basically just told me to treat myself for constipation, because it still could be that. She told me, I forget the other thing, and then she said, and if the pain is just so bad, or if you're unable to get sleep, or, you know, whatever, she said, take a Tylenol. You know, that's really all you can do. So I said, okay, that's what I'll do. So fast forward all that time, and it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse, to the point that it reminded me of labor, not in the way that it felt, but in the way that it was just this nagging pain that would not go away, and it was increasingly like getting worse. And I kind of just wanted to crawl out of my own body. I'm not saying it reminded me of labor. I'm talking early stage labor, to where it just like grew and grew and grew. Like, I'm not saying active labor, but I was just like, I just want to crawl out of my own skin and get away from this pain. And I'm only 30 weeks pregnant, and like, what the heck is going on, you know? So it was concerning to me. I also noticed, as I said, an increased time of, you know, I'm going to the bathroom more, basically, is what I'm saying, than what I typically normally would do, which I did quite a bit of when I was in labor with my daughter. And so I started kind of piecing this stuff together, and it was just getting so much that finally my husband was like, you've got to do something. I'm either taking you to the ER right now, or, you know, something. He said, at least take a half a Tylenol, because these are extra strength Tylenol. The nurse only said Tylenol. She didn't like specify anything. He said, you know, take a Tylenol. I said, maybe half a Tylenol. So he breaks me a Tylenol in half, okay? And I take it, and I'm sitting there, and I just still, like, I cannot take it anymore. It is just, it's become a large, significant pain now. So I went out to my swimming pool and got in my swimming pool with all my clothes on. I was just like, get it away, get it away from me. And so it took a little bit for that to start to like really relieve pressure and, you know, things like that. I did mention in my last video that I did have the athletic tape on, and I did have the athletic tape on. I had just like a basic configuration of it on. And I'll get into that in a minute. But basically, so yeah, I took the half a Tylenol, I got in the pool, I was in there for about 45 minutes, and I felt a lot better. But in the meantime, when I was like waiting for it to get better, but it was you know, I was able to like think a little bit, and I was getting very nervous and very worried because of the way that it made me feel. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then I thought, okay, because I had been paying attention, and I'm like, any signs of bleeding, any signs of mucus plug, any signs of anything like that at all. And I had not had any, but I had been making sure to like keep an eye on it, because I'm like, something is really goofy with me right now. But as I'm sitting in the pool, I was thinking, okay, oh my gosh, when was the last time I felt her move? By this time, it was about 3:30 in the afternoon, and the best I could come up with was I felt her before lunch. And so then I was like nervous then, because I was like, okay, the pain has been happening for a while, but I like felt her before lunch, and everything felt fine with her. Like, she didn't seem like she was in distress or anything, but now I can't remember if I felt her since, or maybe if I was just distracted with this pain. Like, I don't really know. And I'm like, oh my gosh, because then the pain got so much worse, and now I don't remember feeling her since then. All these things are going through my head, you know. Well, then she just started moving like crazy. I was like, oh, thank God. Okay, this is just a pain I'm dealing with. Now I need to figure out if this is still normal, okay, you know, or not. Well, as I said, after I was in the pool for a little while, it did get better. It did not go away. It was still pretty painful, but it got to where it got a little more manageable. I'll just put it that way. So needless to say, I'll just kind of go from there because that is pretty much what I was dealing with after that. So that was on a Tuesday. Okay. Let me just look at my planner. That was on a Tuesday. Okay. So I had similar amounts of pain Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Pain in the same spot. I started using ice also to treat it. I started putting ice there and kind of on my belly and just around my back, just different places. I started doing ice a couple of times a day. I would do one whole Tylenol before bed. I have not been, still now, I'll get into the rest of the story, but sleeping at night, getting into a comfortable position in bed, especially a comfortable position that is also safe for baby, barely exist. Barely, and it really, really didn't. Just absolutely, totally unexpected. I haven't dealt with anything like that in this pregnancy or my last one. It definitely caught me by surprise. So it definitely worried me because I feel like pain of that significance or ongoing pain is alarming when you're pregnant. I was concerned. Okay, so I limped it along though. Okay, so I had Wednesday and Thursday. Okay. And then Friday, I think, was the next thing that happened. So Friday, again, about the same type of pain, during the day. It's manageable, it's culpable, but I can't sit for too long. I can't stand for too long. I can't lay really at all. So just really uncomfortable and really still fairly painful. And Friday, I had gone outside, took my daughter, we went outside. My husband was doing some power washing, and I pulled up a chair and I sat because I was thinking to myself, I know I need to walk, but just anything for too long. And I didn't trust my body for anything. I didn't want to be left alone. Just anything like that. I felt really unsure about what was going to happen next with my body. I don't know how to explain it or describe it. Maybe it sounds like I'm being overkill, and maybe someone's had this experience or is a nurse or a doctor and would be like, hey, that's stupid. It's just this or that. But anyway, I'm sitting outside. My husband's power washing. And over on my right side, which is where I believe like more like the legs are and stuff, I felt this very faint, it wasn't a pulsating. I want to say it was a kick, but it was very, very, very faint. Not so faint that every now and then you couldn't feel it with your hand on the outside of my belly, but it was faint, not like a regular kick, not even as powerful as her kicks can get. And it was very rhythmic. It was like, and almost like the ticking of a clock or, something like that. And this went on for a while, and I thought, this is really strange. Why is she doing that? So I call my husband over. He puts his hand here, and he's like, then he looks at me and he goes, that is so repetitive. He's like, that's odd. And immediately it's scary because I've been having this pain for days now, okay? Granted, it's down low. It's not like where you would think it would need to be, but it's down low. But I've had this pain for days now, and I'm struggling, really hard struggling. And now I have this sensation, and what it alarmed me, and I think my husband as well, and I'm talking about a lot of things in this video I should probably give like trigger warnings for, but it's all hypothetical. None of it happened. It's all hypothetical, but I think when you're in a situation like that, you get nervous, you get worried. So then to my mind, I'm thinking, is she slowing down? Is she like fighting for her life? What is this? Not fighting for her life like that, but just, it was a very weird kicking situation, and I did not care for it at all. And my husband looked at me and he said, you called right now. He said, this is alarming. So I said, okay. So I called, I left a message. She called me back shortly thereafter. So I am telling the nurse all this information. She's still inclined to believe this is all normal. All of it's normal. It's either round ligament, Braxton Hicks, your bowels, some variation of maybe all of it, you know, something, they can all be connected, and then you're dealing with everything at once, and that's why it's like intense and blah blah blah. And then when it came to the baby's movements, she said, I think you're fine, you're feeling the baby, you're okay. Then she said, you know what, if you're alarmed and your husband was alarmed and it was that peculiar of a movement, she said, I want you to go in right now, I want you to drink a caffeinated beverage and then go lay on your left side. She said, I know it's terrible because that's where your pain is at. She said, see if you can bear it. She said, lay on your left side for an hour, which I was like, great, can't wait to do this. But she said, I need you to count your kicks. And if you don't get 6 to 10 kicks in 1 hour, I want you in labor and delivery today. And then she welcomed me to know that, you know, at any point, if I was nervous, I could come into labor and delivery and be monitored. So I went and I did what she said. It was very painful. And I laid on my left side and I counted my kicks. And actually, I got 20 kicks in an hour. Like, this baby must really like caffeine. I don't know. But I got 20 kicks in an hour. So she was fine. And her kicks then lended more towards the normal side of things, you know. So I was like, okay, well, maybe it was, I don't want to say it was nothing, but maybe it was nothing terrible to worry about. So at that point, I wasn't necessarily like worried about the baby. I still thought it was odd what I was dealing with, but I was like, I can make it to my doctor's appointment. And I'm not going to go to labor and delivery because I've just counted my kicks and everything seems fine with the baby. And if I go to labor and delivery, they'll take my vitals and they'll monitor the baby, and that's all they'll do. I don't feel like my vitals are out of whack, and the baby, I guess, is fine. So this is just whatever it is that I'm dealing with. Okay, so there was that little scare, and it's like, okay, we're okay, you know, whatever. So then Saturday comes around, I wake up, I get out of bed, and I feel almost basically no pain whatsoever. Which is weird because I was up most of the night in pain. But I get up and I'm like, wait a minute, do I even feel that now? I don't think I feel that. So yeah, needless to say, most of the day, like as I was up for a little bit, I got twingy little pain, and it's like tender down there. Like the bottom of my belly is very tender. But I could walk, I could stand, I could sit. I mean, I can't just sit any old way, and I still have to be careful how I move. But come Saturday, I was like, okay, it's not, I can't say it's gone. It's not like gone, but it's like, okay, this is like pregnancy pain. You know, I can function. I'm okay. It is uncomfortable. It hurts. I have to be really, really careful, but I'm all right, you know? So we actually went to the fair for an hour. I felt like I had been taking things away from my daughter so much, because not only can I not do as much whatever with her, I could barely do anything myself because I'd been in pain for several days. So we went to the fair for about an hour. I said, I'm not going to push it. I'm not going to do anything crazy. But I feel terrible because she's had some rough days here. So let's just see if we can take her out, get her some entertainment, get out of the house for a little bit. It'd be good for all of us. So that's what we did. My husband was terrified that I was pushing it. But I have pretty much felt the same since, you know, like I got really tired, but I made sure that I didn't push it or walk, you know, some of the ground is really uneven. I was extremely careful. I probably looked silly as can be out there, but no, we went and did that. And again, you know, I struggle sleeping at night, but all day I was like, it's this like the same amount of pain. I'm not getting like this influx of like tremendous pain. It's the same type of pain. It's tenderness, it's soreness, it's, oh, I've moved too far, like correct it and then like keep it within a certain whatever and I'm okay. And that basically just makes me think that whatever it is on the mend or healing up, or if it was the round ligament. I did that at the end of my first trimester, beginning of my second, I don't remember, in there somewhere, I would have round ligament pain. What I felt like was round ligament pain, especially after I ate. I would get kind of sick and I would have pain in my lower belly. It was across the whole bottom of my belly, kind of. So that's why I thought, you know, round ligament pain, whatever. But it did that for a while and then it stopped. Almost like, okay, it loosened up like it needed to get me through the next step of, you know, whatever. And so to me with this, I've either pulled something, which it really didn't feel like I pulled something. And, you know, it didn't feel like a pulled muscle. It didn't feel like I had injured myself. Maybe I did. I don't have any idea. But I'm like, either I did hurt myself somehow and this is the healing process, or it was like the round ligament. I know I had a few contractions in there, so Braxton Hicks was part of it. But I'm like, if it was the round ligament, maybe it did like what it did before and it like loosened up or got to the point that it needed to get to. For now, maybe, I hope. And I hate to speak too soon and say, oh, it's on its way out. This pain is on its way out. But it definitely feels like it is, but I hate to say that and then for it to come back. When I say it was rough, like, I'm not kidding you, it was rough. And I'm like, my only thing was with it is if I have to do this, because technically, you know, I was at 30 weeks. So I'm like, if I have to do this for the next 10 weeks, oh my gosh, you know, I won't be able to do it. And then all these things go through your head like, oh my gosh, what if they put me on bed rest? And my mother-in-law mentioned it. My husband's all worried about that. And what's he going to do about his job? And, you know, all this different stuff that it's not that we were trying to be, you know, panic about anything or assume the worst. It wasn't that. But we were clearly dealing with something unusual and extremely painful. And so what is it? You know, we didn't know. And now I feel a lot less like I could go on bed rest, but there for a while I thought, oh my gosh, they're going to put me on bed rest. And honestly, if they don't put me on bed rest, I may have to voluntarily put myself on bed rest, but not because bed is so miserably painful and uncomfortable. You know what I mean? So, but I'm glad that it's like on the mend and it's better, and I hope it stays getting better. And now I have a doctor appointment tomorrow, so we're going to see how it goes. I think this video is long enough on its own. My concern, like, I don't know what to expect. If it's just a doctor's appointment and it's better and they're like, okay, it's better, no worries. I do think either way they're going to want an ultrasound, probably a growth ultrasound, if not for anything with this. There for a while it was like they're going to want an ultrasound like the day of the doctor's appointment. I don't know what to expect now, so I may not have very much of a doctor's update. Therefore, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave this, edit it, whatever, and I will either post this as it is. This may be the end. If it's the end, look out, because I'm also going to post a part 2 right away. So it's either the end, or I'll just kind of, if it's no big deal and they say, oh, it's all normal, this is what we're going to do, blah, 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 it's quick, I'll just tack it on to the end of this video. So we'll see how it goes. If this is the end, I'll catch you next time. And if not, here it is. Hello. So I don't think it's necessary to do a part 2 video. I'm waiting for my what's in my hospital bag video to load. Guys, listen, it takes me forever to load a video after I do one. It's crazy. So basically I went to my doctor's appointment today. I'm up about 17 pounds. He says I'm really good on my weight stuff. The baby's heartbeat sounded great, nice and strong in the 130s, 140s, 150s range, he said. As far as the pains and stuff I've been having, I will report last night was the first night that I've gotten any sleep in a week, and what I wouldn't give for a nap right now. Like, I'm so tired, I just want to take a nap. That being said, you know, so like the pain is pretty much subsided. I'm still being very, very careful, but I'm just so grateful that I can function, and I'm so grateful that like I got sleep and stuff last night. The doctor was very inclined to believe that it was round ligament pain, and I'm sure it probably was. I don't know. He of course told me to get in if you have access to a pool, get in the pool. I said, oh, believe me, I've been doing that. Believe me. So Um, he felt like everything was like good, on track, normal, like everything was fine with all of it. Um, he's more concerned about my iron levels than anything. Not that it's necessarily a concern. I did find out that I've been taking my iron supplements incorrectly. I thought I was supposed to be taking my vitamins in the morning and my iron supplements in the evening. I'm supposed to be taking an iron supplement with each meal. It has to do with the type of iron that I'm taking. So what he wants me to do is that, like, before my next appointment, which is August 2nd, he wants me to go and get blood work, and they're going to do another workup of it and check my iron levels and just kind of see what everything looks like. He said if it's good, it's good. You know, great. That's great. Then we won't do anything else. He said if you're just if your body's having a hard time absorbing it, or you know, just whatever, he said if you're low, it'll depend on how I guess however they run this blood test, whatever, I don't know. Anyway, he kept throwing about iron infusion, and I was like, I don't want an iron infusion. But it's fine. I mean, you know, I understand it, and basically he's just saying, you know, it's mostly for me after I have the baby. Like, he made it sound like, you know, if you're low on iron after you have this baby, you will have absolutely no energy whatsoever. There will be nothing to you. And so, like, I do understand it. It's not like I would refuse an iron infusion. It's just, I'm like, I don't know. I don't really want one, you know? So now that's the next thing, in hopes that we go, I have my blood draw, and he says, oh, your iron levels are great. You're good. We don't have to worry about an infusion, you know? So while this pregnancy has been significantly easier, better, there's also been a lot more sickness that I've dealt with that I didn't deal with my first one. And now here at the end, it's a lot of, okay, now we need to check this, or now there's this problem. And then it's like, then it's nothing. So that's what I'm kind of hoping happens with the iron. But that's really all he had to say. We talked a lot about a lot of different things to do with like the symptoms that I've been having, how to combat some things. He did tell me that if increasing my iron, because I hadn't done that right, if increasing, I had, but I hadn't done it properly, if that causes me any problems, you know, they do your typical, like, you know, stool softener, Miralax stuff, you know, but then he gave me a natural remedy for that, which I'm like, you know, prune juice is always the go-to, right? Well, this is what he said. He said, here's a little concoction recipe. You get a Tupperware bowl, and you do, let's see, a half a cup of bran cereal, a third of a cup of applesauce, and a quarter cup of prune juice. And you mix all that together, and you take 1 tablespoon a day. And I'm like, well, I mean, I do lean more towards the natural side of things. So if that becomes a problem, I will do that. It sounds gross, doesn't it? But anyway, so I thought I'd pass that little recipe on to you. I turned my birth plan in today. He just quick looked over it. I mean, I don't know what he was looking for, but he just quick looked over it, and he said, I don't see anything on here that's going to be a problem. And that was the extent of our conversation about my birth plan. But, I mean, it was fine. It's hard because you get into the doctor's appointment, and it's like, you're just like, even though he doesn't rush me at all. I think that's wonderful. He's a great doctor. But you're so like, okay, I don't even remember little things over the course of the last 2 weeks I decided I was going to ask you about or talk to you about. So I have my next appointment scheduled on August 2nd. So I'll go get my blood draw. And then I'll go have my appointment on the 2nd. And then my appointment after that is August 16th. So I will have my next 2-week appointment on the 16th. And after that, I'll be weekly. So I'm assuming I'll go on the 16th. And then the next week I'll go back. And the next week I'll go back. So I think that's how that's going to go. I never made it to weekly appointments with my daughter. Never did I make it to weekly appointments with my daughter, so we'll see if I make it this time or not. Anyway, thanks for joining me. Appreciate you making it to the end of the video if you did. I guess we'll catch you next week. Bye.